Finally, we've reached the end of all of the differentiation rules and problem sets in Calculus 1, and now we're running through a review to make sure we know all of them and how to interchange all of them. Let's start with number 1. At the very beginning, y equals x squared plus x cubed to the fourth, well, y prime. That's going to be an exponent rule from the outside. I'll write exponent here just to remember what rule we used. 4 x squared plus x cubed to the third, just subtracted by 1, and then multiply by the derivative of the inside. That's a chain rule. And we did the outside function, and now we have an inside function here. That's just 2x plus 3x squared. And that's the end of that problem. So you should be able to do just exponent and chain rule. How do you get to the end of the semester and not be able to do that one? I would be deeply concerned. Next one, y equals x squared minus x plus 2 divided by the square root of x. Well, what rule creates a quotient for the derivative? The quotient rule. I'll write that over here real fast. It's a quotient rule problem. So that is going to be u prime v minus v prime u over v squared. We better write down what these are individually first, I'm thinking. So our u is equal to x squared minus x plus 2. U prime, that's an exponent rule, is going to be 2x minus 1. So I'll just write exponent here to remember that. V is x to the 1/2. That's the square root of x. And that means v prime is going to be 1/2 x to the negative 1/2, exponent rule there. So u prime v would be 2x minus 1 times the square root of x minus v prime, which is 1 over 2 root x times u, x squared minus x plus 2. Oh, maybe we can put this together. We'll see what we can put together there. And v squared, well, v squared, the square of a square root is just x itself. I think we can simplify this. I don't know if we can simplify it very well, but we'll give it a try. 2x minus 1 times root x. I wonder what I want to do there. I don't hate the idea of multiplying top and bottom by root x, but we'll see what happens. Can I factor this? So to get a minus 1 and a plus 2, I don't see how that's going to go over easily. So we would get x squared minus x plus 2 over 2 root x. So maybe if I do 2 root x on top and bottom here like this, this will all be divided by x. This would give us 2x minus 1 minus x squared minus x, sorry about that, plus 2, all over 2 root x. And that's all divided by x, so we can just put another x down here. Now let's take a look. Well, let's FOIL that out. Maybe we can get something cool here. 4x squared minus 2x minus x squared plus x minus 2 divided by 2x rad x. Let's put these together. 4x squared minus x squared would be 3x squared. Minus 2 and plus 1 would be minus x minus 2. That'll be divided by 2x root x. So that's probably as simple as the answer can get right there. Mostly algebra, but it all starts with the quotient rule. It's easy if you write them out separately like this first and then just write them in there. Once you write them in there, you can focus on simplifying and that kind of thing. Okay, what comes next? Let's go ahead and remove this one. Get ready to do a couple more of the fun ones here. What do we got? The next one, that adds a new one and adds some trig to it, which is where calculus really shines, x squared sine pi x. Well, the first thing I see is multiple x functions here. So the derivative is going to require a product rule. Put that over here. And the product rule is u prime v plus v prime u. What's our u? That's x squared, u prime. 2x. Exponent rule, and put it out here, exponent rule. You notice there's only a few actual rules. There really are. After a whole semester of going through these problems, it's only a few actual rules. V is sine of pi x. V prime, ooh, that's a trig rule. Now that encompasses a lot of rules, but what's the derivative of sine? That's cosine of the same input, times pi, because chain rule. If it's not just an x in here, you better chain rule. So this is a great example of a number of rules coming together here. I love it. U prime v plus v prime, put the pi in front of it here just to be cool, times u is x squared. I don't know if it gets easier than that. I guess we can take an x out, and we'll say 2 sine of pi x plus pi x cosine of pi x. That's the simplest I can get it. I hope that's correct. Cool. I love questions that use a lot of the different rules like that. It really highlights whether you can combine these together to demonstrate your competence. How about the next one? I think it's going to be pretty obvious what we're using there off the bat. Okay. This is a conjugate. I wonder if we'll need that or not. I don't know. We're not going to enforce it, but since we have a function of t and a function of t, which I'm assuming y is a function of, then this is going to be a quotient rule. Right? Left, forward. Quotient rule is u prime v minus v prime. I'm not going to put it there. I'll put it down here. Y prime equals u prime v minus v prime u over v squared. So what's our u? T to the fourth minus 1. U prime is 4t to the third. That's an exponent rule. V is t to the fourth plus 1. It's pretty simple. V prime is going to be 4t cubed. Yeah. So u prime v, we get 4t cubed times t to the fourth plus 1 minus, that's u prime v minus v prime u. So it's going to be 4t cubed again, t to the fourth minus 1. These two are conjugates of each other, aren't they? We might be able to combine those again, over v squared t to the fourth plus 1 squared. And the reason I bring that up is because we talked about conjugates during the semester. Your teacher is probably going to expect you to understand what those look like, and the rule is basically like this. A plus b times a minus b is equal to a squared minus b squared. So in our case, we get t to the fourth plus 1 minus t to the fourth minus 1. We might just be canceling things out because they're not multiplied. So this probably doesn't apply. Over t to the fourth plus 1 squared. When they're multiplied, that's when it matters. But they're not multiplied here. They're actually canceling each other out because this is going to go away. It's a minus t to the fourth. And 1 minus negative 1 is a 2. So this is going to become 8t cubed over t to the fourth plus 1 squared. That's our derivative there. That's about as simple as it can get. We are cooking. This is fun. The chapter reviews are much more fun than the learning itself. Just going through it and just applying the things that you've learned, that's where it really cements into it. And by the way, when you're learning, auditory learning is important. You should be talking this aloud. Who cares how dumb you sound? Who cares who hears you? You are here to be the fool. That's what a student is. The master presents you something new. You have no way of being able to expect yourself to understand it the first time or the 10th time. Your job is to understand being the fool is how you grow. If this is easy for you, then you should be going hard. We are going to come to a point where you become the fool. All of us do. And if you're not, then you aren't working on yourself. And this is all about teaching the brain logical, procedural solution solving. Solution solving, problem solving. See, the fool and the master all in one. Now, we got a couple more in this video. What's this one? This is a natural log rule. I'm just going to call it the ln rule over here. What's y prime? Well, the derivative of natural log is 1 over the input. So that'd be x times natural log of x. And then we have a chain rule. So I'll write chain over here for the chain rule. And what's the chain rule say? Derivative of the inside. Well, that's a product rule. We're nowhere near done with this guy, are we? So let's do that. What's the product rule? U prime v plus v prime u. Well, we have a u is x, so u prime is 1. We have a v, which is natural log of x. We have a v prime, which is 1 over x. So u prime v plus v prime u is going to be 1 times the natural log of x plus v prime, which is 1 over x, times x. So, of course, that'll cancel and get 1. So the derivative of the inside is going to be natural log of x plus 1. And I think that's it. So the way we would write that out would be y prime equals ln of x plus 1 over x ln of x. Then notice it seems hard, but the reality is you're only applying a couple of these rules, which are the same rules you've been applying everywhere. And then step by step by step by step by step. Baby steps. You know, there's that you know. That's the one I'm allowed per video. There's the you know right there. Ugh, I got to break that habit. But the man who moves a mountain first begins by taking away small stones. Don't focus on the fact that this is a hilarious looking problem. Just focus on this part. And the next part for us is to just break this into parts. So we have root x cosine root x. Well, these are multiplied, right? So that's going to be a product rule. Product. I love keeping track of the rules we're using here. I think it really works us out. Now, product rule is going to be what? Y prime is going to equal u prime v plus v prime u. What's u? That's x to the 1/2. So u prime is going to be 1 over 2, x to the negative 1/2. V is cosine of root x. V prime, well, there's a trig rule. There's trig right there. There's a trig rule. Is going to be negative sine of root x, same input, times 1/2 x to the negative 1/2. That's an exponent rule, which we've already done. I should have put that in already. There's an exponent rule. And a chain rule. That was a chain rule and exponent rule to get out there, right? So let's write out the product rule and see what it looks like. That's going to be 1 over 2 rad x times cosine of rad x. Notice how liberal I am with my parentheses. I assure you that writing things this way makes it clearer for your own brain to solve the problem. You can't feel the difference. It's in your brain. But it does. Tactile learning, which is writing things, taking notes, writing and writing and writing. visual learning, looking at what you wrote and making sure you can interpret what you wrote, and auditory learning, saying it aloud, hearing it aloud. All three of these are required for full competency. Your brain learns in all three of these ways. Don't have a two-legged table. Practice all three of these things. Okay, V prime is negative sine rad x times 1 over 2 rad x, and u is rad x. So these are going to cancel right away. What we're going to see here is that we get cosine of rad x over 2 rad x minus sine rad x over 2. And in fact, I want to make this cuter, so I'm going to do rad x over rad x like this. And what I get is cosine of the square root of x over, so let's say minus rad x sine rad x over 2 rad x. That is our beautiful answer. And that'll conclude problem set number 1. Let's get into some tougher ones.